Daily Devotions with Pastor Balla for April 29, 2020, from Exodus chapter 34, the second edition of the Ten Commandments. After God gave Moses the Ten Commandments, Moses broke the Ten Commandment tablets. Why would he do that? Well, the people of God had just made the golden calf and were worshiping it instead of trusting in God. As we heard yesterday, God is asking the question, do the people of Israel really want to follow God or not? Remember, this works two ways. If they are to be a people of God, then they have to be willing to follow God, and God has to be willing to lead them. So Moses is going up the mountain a second time. Verse 1, the Lord said to Moses, "Cut for yourselves 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke." Which you broke? Was that directed toward Moses or the people? If it was directed toward Moses, then Moses shouldn't have actually physically broke them. But he did. Even though the people were actually breaking the commandments by worshiping the golden calf, which kind of made Moses angry, and that's why he broke the tablets. Like the old cliche, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yes, the people of God were breaking the commandments of God when Moses was coming down the mountain, but this verse is actually directed at Moses. So Moses makes 2 more tablets of stone and goes up the mountain. Then something happens a little unusual. Yes, the Lord meets Moses. That was to be expected. But notice what the Lord does when the Lord comes to Moses. Verse 5, the Lord descends in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. The Lord descended and proclaimed his own name? Yes. Verse 6, the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness." This is how the Lord God wants to be known, as a God of mercy, gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. I like how St. Paul puts it in Romans chapter 10, verse 13. "For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." So the Lord then shouts out his name. And that's something that we should do also. So is there forgiveness for Moses for breaking the first edition of the 10 Commandments? Yes. Is there forgiveness for God's people for worshiping the golden calf? Again, the answer is yes. But remember the slow to anger part. Is there a limit? Let's pick up verse 7. "Keeping steadfast love for 1,000, forgiving iniquities and transgression and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation." Not that there's a limit to God's forgiveness, but the guilty is actually referring to those who really don't want God's forgiveness. Remember as we started, do the people of Israel really want to follow God? God forgives, but now, do we really want it? So notice Moses pleads for the people, verse 9. "And he said, if now I have found favor in your sight, O Lord, please let the Lord go in the midst of us, for it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for your inheritance." Moses even notes the our iniquity, our sin, Moses' sin and the sin of the people. Moses then receives, you could say, the second edition of the 10 Commandments, heads down the mountain to the people. But I'm sure there might have been the question, is the Lord really going to be with us? Is the Lord really going to forgive? The people's reaction to Moses as he's coming down the answer would give him the immediate answer. What do I mean? Verse 29. When Moses came down Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, as he came down the mountain, Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone, because he had been talking with God. Aaron and all the people of Israel saw Moses, and behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. Yes, Moses had a very special relationship with God, and now the people would know with certainty that God spoke with Moses. Wouldn't it be nice to know with certainty that we are forgiven? Well, we do. It comes from our pastor. Not that our pastor glows like Moses did, but when God speaks through the pastor. And what does the Lord speak through the pastor? The name, the Lord. The Lord. You are forgiven. That's how the Lord wants to be known, as a God who forgives. Join me again tomorrow as we hear about how God stays with his people. God's peace and many blessings be with you. Thank you for watching this video, and please take an opportunity to share this video with others. If you'd like to support these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for watching.